Joker here for episode 80 of TGW. This is actually the 80th episode ever, and your second episode.
Yes, 80. That's good. Congratulations. I didn't realize it was actually number 80. That's really good.
Yeah, they go by pretty fast. I couldn't believe it when a year had passed already. Now we're already on episode 80, and
That
pretty soon it'll
is.
be episode 100.
When do you think you'll get to 100? Can you predict that this far ahead?
I'm guessing about 20 weeks from now.
Okay, that's not too
Just
bad.
just that's just a stab at the dark.
That's,
Well,
that's
it's a
what I
week
mean. That's a pretty good guess.
because it's a weekly show, so yeah, that would be pretty on the nose. And hopefully you'll be here for it. You've said that you're able to do these pretty much as you can, right? And people liked
Yep,
having you here, so
yep, yep. I am all good for that.
yeah. So basically, co-host action, good stuff.
That's
It's
good.
nice to not have to search every week, and hopefully
Yes,
we'll have you here next week on time. Look, the times got mixed up. Maybe it's hard with the different time zones.
it is. And last night I was up really late playing Overwatch, and I finally ranked up to like 2500. So now I'm a platinum member. I'm so pumped. I'm so happy.
That means you don't ever get to fall down from platinum, right?
No, I don't. And I get called trash all the time because I'm gold, even though I'm really good at the game, or I think I'm really good at the game. And everyone's like, "You're gold, you're trash," and it is really salty. People get so mad. I'm like, dude, I'm main as a healer. I'm like, I'm mercying you, and I'm crap. Come on.
Oh, you gotta love the mercy action. Anyone that's running
Oh,
around playing as a support like that is just yeah. If, as long as they're doing a half decent job, you got to be appreciative.
that's it. That's it.
I mean, unless you need an offensive push. The only thing that gets on my nerves mainly in Overwatch is when people won't switch, like no matter what. Like even if you could see, as an outsider looking in, like your class is just not working right now against their makeup in this map, and you need to switch it up, and they're just like, no.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah. I made as just character. It's like, yes, but we don't need that right now. We need, May or we need Diva, but most people don't listen.
so is that pretty much what you've been playing mainly? Is just Overwatch?
But that's it. I was talking to my brother last night. I'm like, I've actually played more Overwatch than any other game this year combined, which is really strange for me. Really strange for me.
I have to check my hours. I haven't been on it a lot in the past few months, but when it came out, it was like one of the first games in a while, like a multiplayer shooter specifically, that just kind of ate up my time. It was just a big time sink where I just got on. I was like, yeah, I just need to keep playing this and keep leveling up because I just wanted to get loot boxes basically and just
Yeah.
and level up and in the seasons as well and try to get high up on the season rankings also.
Season rankings is hard. When I played when I first played it, I think the alpha or the beta or whatever came out. I got in and I'm like, 5 minutes, this is it. No, I'm not playing this. I don't like it. I uninstalled it.
That was
And
my
then I'm
exact
like,
thought too. I was the same
I
exact way.
I just didn't like it. It just didn't feel like it's a game that I would play. And then my friends and my brother, they're all like, "Oh, come on, you got to play it." I'm like, "Oh, whatever." And then I'm like, "Yeah, thanks for introducing me to like the drug equivalent of a game." I now know how all those people in World of Warcraft felt like all those years ago.
Yeah, I was the same way when I first played that game. I was just like, no, this is not for me. This is not the type of shooter I like to play. I like to play something where people die in just a couple of bullets. It was like
Yes.
it felt really spongy, and I didn't really get the classes and everything. And there was like I was like the only character I like in here is Soldier 76, so it was really boring to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then once you get into the counters is what did it to me, figuring out when you were getting frustrated against a certain character, Hanzo or whatever, and then you say, okay, well, this is what I need to do to go against that guy, and then you just kick their ass the rest of the
Yeah.
match, and they never switched. It's so
Yeah.
satisfying.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. You can get a very satisfying match from that, and it's good. It's good. It's not like you were saying, like you feel like everything's it's just a bullet sponge, but then you start to get used to the game, and then you start to. I think I started playing better when I started instead of looking from my first person perspective, tried to look at it from like a tactical perspective, where you're trying
Yeah,
to think,
you have
okay,
to.
if I'm Mercy and I have to heal like these characters, this one has this much HP, so I know that he can self heal like Hog or like Soldier, and it changes the game and it becomes more like an RTS. And I don't have the time for an RTS or to get into RTS games. So then this kind of feels like that nice blend of my first person kind of addiction, along with RTS, which is it's unbelievably fun and addictive. So bloody addictive.
Yeah, it's very tactical once you get into all the little nuances of each of the different characters.
Yep.
This week I've been pretty much playing more Watch Dogs 2. I've been playing that. I've been hacking the hell out of people. I reached master rank on the hacking invasion thing, which is a lot of fun doing. I seem to be really good at that for some. I don't know why. I
I
I,
need to
I,
get
I
into
like
it.
I like to troll people with it a little bit. Like I'll just usually I'll like because you can launch the drone and get it to someone from about 200 meters away. So usually they think it's someone right around them, but I'm usually like 3 or 4 blocks down, and I just launched a drone over there to start marking them. And like then I'll just be standing on the corner with like my cell phone out in the game, like taking a selfie. So they see that's the last image they see of me. Once the game shows them where I am, I'm just sitting there taking a selfie, like celebrating,
Oh,
like
wow.
what's good, like what's good.
Such
So
a troll.
yeah, yeah, I get a good kick out of it because you can't talk shit. So you got to like I don't know. That's the Watch Dogs equivalent of teabagging. I feel
Yeah,
taking a
wow.
selfie after you've beat someone.
Mental note: don't play Watch Dogs 2 with you.
Well, the co-ops is not great. It's typical of what I've seen in other like Ubisoft open world games. It's not amazing, oh, except for Division. Divisions was pretty fun.
The Division, yeah, I got into for a little while, and then I didn't play much after. Yeah, I didn't feel that game for some reason.
Yeah. So before we get into like the first news topic, we're gonna have. I wanted to do a little discussion. I didn't get a chance to talk with you about this before the show, but it was like mostly we could kind of touched on it last week, like before stream. It was about like tech rumors, covering things like that. Because I had a lot of comments coming in over the past week after the Vega leaks and stuff, saying, you know, why do you cover tech rumors? Why does this kind of stuff get covered and all that? And I'm sure you're no stranger to that kind of stuff as well, right?
Every day, man. Every day.
I mean, personally, I mean, I like to cover because I'm just interested in it myself. That's why I choose to cover it.
Yep.
I'm interested in hearing anything. It's just like days I just wake up and I just start going through all my news tabs of the websites I have bookmarked and just like, can I just find something juicy? I just want something
Yep.
to kind of, you know, just get me through the day. Some piece of
Well, I
news, a little
think for
scrap of
for
news, anything.
for me, I'm the same. I want to know everything. I don't care if it's false, if it's a rumor, if it's fact. I will take it all in, and then as an expert, I guess, or whatever you want to call yourself, an enthusiast, you can start making that bigger picture. And then second is you can start making patterns. I've been writing in this industry for like over 6.5 years now. So you can start to make a pattern of, okay, these leaks from Vega, when Vega's out, we're all going to know how true the leaks were. And then when the next architecture is unveiled, then you're going to go, well, those leaks are probably this much percentage right and this much percentage wrong. Um, so you can kind of get a more of a bigger picture, just based off of the leaks. And there are some sites that just really stretch whatever the tiny little information they've got, or just make it up. And a lot of sites, you'd be surprised, make it up, just for the clicks. And I do not like that, at all. But
Yeah, that I agree with.
if you don't report on it, or if you don't make a video on it, someone else will. And that's all the SEO and all that kind of stuff. You have to dive on it. And if you don't do it, then people go, "Why aren't you covering it? Are you biased to Nvidia? Are you biased to AMD?" You kind of have to. And I feel like the industry has turned into that. Years ago it used to be just exclusive reviews, and that'd be where all the traffic comes from. But now, you need to do those kind of rumors and stuff, and then you can pretty much, here's the rumor, guys, and this is what I think, or here's the rumor, guys, and this is what is probably true and probably wrong. It just gives everyone an option to have a look at what's going on.
Yeah, I think so. And as far as people like kind of speaking out against it, and not wanting to see that stuff, I would say probably for every 100 people that are into it, there's probably I would say 2 or 3 that are against it.
Yep.
So I mean,
Yep.
it seems like the vast majority of comments are positive though, and people just wanting to get information.
Yep.
Because they're planning out a buying decision maybe a few months down the road, and just talking about a rumor or a leak, whatever, if it's even close to being true, might dissuade them from buying something right now as to something say, well, I can wait the 3 months anyway and just get that because that'll probably be a little bit better. So
Yep.
I just
Yep.
think it all goes in together to making a more educated buying decision.
Yep. Yep. I totally agree.
And that's kind of goes in like with the first story we got today. There's been plenty of leaks that we've covered on about Kaby Lake, the 7700K. There's been a lot of leaks surrounding that with performance, overclocking potential. With these reviews that have come in so far already, did anything kind of surprise you or strike you as anything that we didn't already expect to see coming? Because everything seems to be true from the leaks and rumors that we had seen leading up to
Uh,
this.
That's it, and it's kind of good that you've gone straight into this because it gives you a good benchmark, I guess, of like looking at the leaks before and then looking at the actual reviews and going, oh, all the leaks were true. You know, Kaby Lake runs ridiculously hot. The performance is less than 10% over this the 7700K. I have no idea why there's no performance increase. It's this is what we talked about before, where there's like a little upgrade, but then you look at the temperatures, and it's like, you know, when it's overclocked, it's simply hitting 100 degrees Celsius, and that's crazy stuff, crazy stuff.
Yeah, and it would also seem that most of the performance that they're getting is coming down to just the clock speeds. They're getting like 5 to 7% increase in performance, but they're also clocked about 5 to 7% higher than
That's
the
it.
stock 6700K that it's mostly, you know, competing up against. I
Yeah.
guess the only major selling factor to me would be is the fact that it seems fairly regular that these are hitting 5 gigahertz at around, what was
Yeah.
it, 1.34 volts. Seems
Yes.
to be pretty typical. That's what EK Technics reported. There was two other sites I looked at that talked about that exact same figure there as well. So that seems pretty consistent. But once you get into 5.1 gigahertz, you're having to kick it up over that 1. What was it, 34? Yeah, 1.34 up over to like 1.35 something,
Yeah.
something or other. And then you're getting into the seriously high temps. But they were able to, you know, do it on even air cooling, I believe, hitting 5 gigahertz. But it's like you said, it's getting up over 90 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's like Intel does their TikTok, and then it's like TikTok stumble. And this is exactly what it's like. And this is where AMD has that opportunity to kind of like come in. And if Ryzen can be, you know, if Ryzen can hit 5 gigahertz at less than 90 degrees, which I'm hoping it does, then Intel, you know, it's everyone's like, oh, but it's just a hot running CPU by better cooling. They justify it, and it's like, but you're Intel, you're one of the biggest semiconductor firms in the world. You've been around for decades. You know, how did they think that this was going to get out and it was going to be okay? But then people are delidding the chip and getting like a 30 degrees Celsius reduction in temperatures. So it's like people are going to be getting this and going, well, why does it run so hot? Like they're going to look at the early reviews, like eTechnics have got their review up. And this is why Intel has an NDA until January.
Yeah, January
Where
5th, I believe January 5th, I heard, right?
Yeah, and eTechnics didn't sign an NDA. I'm friends with all the guys at eTechnics. It's funny enough that you pulled their link. I know the owner of the site, Andy, and they didn't sign an NDA. So Intel are playing games, letting certain sites leak it out, and it's probably PR related because they can see how hot it runs, and that's not good. That's, you know, that's the other thing as well. Every review that doesn't address the temperature down, you know that they're biased. That's the thing. If they don't address it.
And you can kind of see, you know, with with them not having to sign the NDA, it's almost like a pseudo paper launch for Intel, basically, where they're saying, okay, and I would say that it's probably no accident that we just saw the announcement of Ryzen, and then a few days later we start seeing leaks of the 7700K and what that can do, which is not that impressive though. It's still not exciting anywhere near as exciting as what we've seen so far with Ryzen and the leaked benchmarks on that we'll be talking about pretty soon.
Yeah.
You guys had also covered the delidding on the 7700K. You want to talk about that one?
Yes, that story kind of blew up for us, and it's still doing really good in traffic. So someone on the AnandTech forums delidded a 7700K that he purchased at retail. So it's not an engineering sample like all the previous chips were that were being provided to reviewers and influencers. And they're provided by various motherboard companies as they do. They're always engineering samples, so the retail samples are always either a little bit better or worse, depending on what the Intel have done in that time. But someone delidded it. So before they did the delid, it was hitting 96 degrees Celsius, which is exactly the same as what eTechnics results are. So now you know that these leaks are actually making sense. And that was on a Corsair H110i. He removed he delidded the 7700K and used a Cool Laboratory Liquid Ultra thermal paste, which I've never heard of before, which sounds actually kind of awesome. With a Kraken X, it does. Like, I want that. It sounds like I can drink that Cool Laboratory Liquid Ultra. and then you read thermal paste and obviously can't drink it. Mixed with the Kraken, which is another really good ROM if people want a spiced ROM, the Kraken X62 cooler at 5 gigahertz. The fan was set to 50%, but without with it delidded, it was 26 degrees cooler. So it went from like 99 degrees without a problem when he was playing around with voltages, obviously going a little bit over 1.34. But to go from 99 to 66, that's a massive, massive reduction. If it was 3 degrees, 5 degrees, even 10 degrees, that's okay. You can be like, oh, whatever, I'm not going to delid my processor for that. But people are going to delid their processor and possibly now damage their $400-500 processor, or like $1,000 in Australia processor, just because of the temps. And Intel could have, I'm sure, again, out of the power and influence that Intel have, they could have changed something, and they haven't. It's really shocking.
Yeah, and for people that aren't too familiar with the delidding, with the process and what goes into that, could you maybe give a breakdown on what you have to do?
Yeah, so there's like a layer of I think it's, I don't know if it's silicon. I think it's I'll go get the Google definition of this. And what it is, it splits between the cooler and the silicon of the chip. And if you remove that layer, then the cooler gets closer to the actual silicon. So it's like a way of like a thermal. I think Tim is thermal interface material anyway. It's like a thermal interface that the silicon can go into, and then the heatsink can cool that down. So if you remove that, then you're removing kind of the protection to the actual processor, which can be bad. So people can break their chip if they delid it. But there's people online that are like, I've delidded like 400 processors for customers at my store that I work at, and I've never broken one. So you can get materials to do it, or you can use like a razor blade. But once you do it, you think of, I'm actually going to include a link that I've just found now in the chat, so you guys can check. That's actually a really good explanation if you look at the pictures, because you can see in the top picture that there's
probably
air.
won't let you post link in the chat.
Really? It won't. Okay. Well, so there's it's a thermal interface between the actual between the silicon of the processor and say the heatsink, and then people remove that, and then obviously you need a better cooler because that is a thermal interface. But then the 7700K is running so hot that when you remove that, you're actually getting lower temperatures, which should never happen. And it has happened before, though. This people have had to remove the TIM for a long time from other processors, and this is just the same thing. But it sucks.
So I guess the last question for me would be: what does this really say about Intel's process of making these processors that is causing this to happen, and what can they do to prevent it in the future?
They can use it, like the TIM can be improved. And Intel have gone through this problem before, so that's why people are like, well, what the hell? You've released processors with a really bad TIM, and people had to delid the processor. But now it's like, it seems to have happened again with their latest and greatest. Sure, this isn't the 6950X, but the 7700K is probably going to sell much more units than the 6950X. You'd think that they would have noticed this. Think of it like you're baking a cake, right? And you're baking 50 of them to get it right. If every single one is bad, you end up changing a recipe. You don't just keep making the same cake and then just expecting to sell it and then everything's okay. Intel surely months and months and months ago would have seen this problem and thought, maybe we'll improve the TIM. Maybe we will make this better so we don't go through those same problems as people complaining about high temperatures and having to potentially damage or kill their CPU in the pursuit of higher overclocks or lower temperatures. That to me is the worst thing. I don't mind that the chip runs hot. Obviously they can't change that, but they could if they actually did some work with the thermal interface.
They talked here about it, on the article you put about hitting 60 degrees C under load right out of the box, which is what I would, ideally want to see, with a decent air cooling system when overclocked. That would be about the temps I'd be looking to see, hopefully. But 60 C under load right out of the box at the 4.2 gigahertz boost into 4.5, that's pretty warm. So you got to think that it's just the fact that these are overclocked Skylake chips on a smaller node shrink.
Yep. That's it. That's
So
in a couple of words, it's exactly what it is.
that's really what it all comes down to, is that they
Yep.
are shipping pre-overclocked chips, and
Yep.
so they run hotter. It's
Yep.
not, no, I'm not really surprised by it, but 30 degrees Celsius reduction in temps on the delidding is pretty scary.
Yeah, that's a big difference, and I think that what we'll see from this is maybe the unlocked processors will actually have the TIM removed in the future. So maybe like the 8800K or the 8700K or whatever they end up calling it. I think that after this, once this, because you got to think most people aren't looking at these reviews because not everyone has a review up. So like it's just a leak. It's whatever it is, but this is real. These are retail samples that are doing this, not engineering samples. So I think that maybe we'll see a K SKU processor released in the future that has the TIM removed, obviously with a big warning going, this has it removed, but this is for the enthusiasts only. So maybe we might have like a 7700K even, and then a second 7700K without the TIM. But then it's like, well, why have the normal 7700K? Like, what are you going to advertise on the box? This one's 30 degrees cooler, 1/3 off the temperature. It's really bad. They can't get out of this now. Well, what? How could you explain that to consumers? How could you explain that? Like, why does this chip run so much hotter than my 6700K? So anyone that has a 6700K now should be happy. There's not much of a performance increase. Going up to
Especially if you got a good overclocker.
That's it. It's exactly right. If you've got a good overclock and you're 6700K, you wouldn't look at the 7700K period, unless you're only getting to like 4.2 or 4.5 gigahertz, which you're going to have no problems with boost anyway. It's just it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad for it.
My Skylake i5 is sitting at 4.9 gigahertz in a mini ITX build. So
and what temp? What temp does it get under load?
It doesn't get over 65.
Yeah, see.
At 4.9 gigahertz, the thing is a beast.
Yeah.
I wish it was an i7. That's my only regret, is that it's an i5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I am planning to do something with Kaby Lake, only because I need to get rid of the i5 bottleneck in my test system.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. But yeah, test them out anyway. Should be, I guess, interesting.
Neo Voodoo Tech has said, I'm going to start a dealer by mail business. Send me your chips. That's a good idea, man.
I hope you have good insurance for that.
Yeah. At least if the CPU breaks when you delete it, you could just blame the postal service. Get away with it.
I will not be responsible for any broken CPUs in the deleting process.
That's it. There's like a big star. Your business is just called Star because there's so many legal kind of issues with that. But people are going to start doing that. There's going to be money made from that. People are going to start. Well, imagine that. That creates a business for people. I can delete your processor, and you're going to receive a 30 degree Celsius reduction in temperatures. People will start deleting their processors. Like for me, I've never deleted a CPU before. I will now get a 7700K, and I will delete it for that exact purpose.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I haven't done it myself either. I never got into like really taking apart stuff too much like that. I just kind of like throwing systems together and then benchmarking them.
100% the same. 100%.
We also got some more processors here. News before we get on to anything else is Ryzen, which got benched up against the 7700K we were just talking about, and the X99 6900K, the 8-core 16-threaded part from Intel, which kind of makes it look a little bit underwhelming from what the numbers we're seeing here right now. But the important thing to note is that this is only running at 3.4 gigahertz. So the Ryzen chip is not overclocked yet. It's not able to overclock right now in this current iteration. So we can see it here running against like the stock 7700K. It's just edging it out in the Fritz Chess benchmark and beating it pretty handily, I would say, in Cinebench, where the multi-threading is being utilized more in that test. But then where's the price going to sit on it? Because right now it's falling between the 7700K and the 6900K, and when the 7700K is overclocked to 5 gigahertz, it closes the gap a lot. So I guess we got to see where the price is going to be between those. If it's because some people were suggesting after last week it might be up around that $400 to $500 area.
And I think that's where things are going to get tricky. So this is where you can obviously, that's my article. You can read that I'm like, where do we go from here? And we kind of need to see AMD's marketing they need to step very carefully. Every step they take is like a landmine under them. They need to start comparing more against the 7700K and less against the 6900K,
I
and then
agree.
going, look, we in multi-threaded performance, we are trying to aim at that, but how close can they get? And then they're using very cherry-picked benchmarks, which every company does. But AMD are very good at hyping something up incredibly and then it being a letdown. So as much as I'm excited for Zen, I'm apprehensive based on these leaked benchmarks because anyone can run Cinebench. Anyone can run that right now. You can go download it. It's free. You can run that benchmark and then you're going to be able to see what result you get. So I actually had a friend of mine overnight. I woke up this morning to your message, like the show's starting. So I'm like, oh, I had my shower, like running down to my office, going through my messages quickly in case there's anything that's happened overnight. And he said that he used an old Xeon that was like 3 years old. I think it had 12 threads, 6 core, 12 threads, and it was at 3.4, 3.6 gigahertz, keeping up with Ryzen. And then when he overclocked past 4, it just demolished it. So again, this is early Ryzen, early silicon, probably very, very early. So where Intel has had not performance issues, where Intel has had temperature issues with the Delidded process, obviously reducing that by 30 degrees Celsius. That's massive. Hopefully, we see the opposite of that for AMD and Ryzen, where right now we're seeing good results, but then it'll Donald Trump it soon and make it great again. So I'm hoping
Make
that
AMD great again.
that's it, and it might happen, and it might happen. This is early days. We've still got at least a month or two of time to get through. So I'm hoping that it gets better, but I don't know. I think that even as it stands, if you can see in these benchmarks, it's equaling a 7700K without a problem. Even if it could just equal a 7700K and Intel price it competitively, it's going to be a great chip. It's going to be a great chip. It doesn't matter from now because we know that at least a minimum, it's going to be around the 7700K in terms of performance. And to me, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. Like we could see these even if it was at $500, but it's performing like 40% better.
Yep.
Then yeah, sign me up.
Yep.
I would
Yep.
love to use one of those.
Yep.
Okay, so up next we've got some Nvidia news. I don't think we're going to really be seeing these stateside. Right now they're being advertised in Spanish speaking countries. My first thought when I saw this, I actually thought it was fake because it kind of looked like the box was
Yeah.
photoshopped a little bit to
Yeah.
me.
Me too.
I thought it looked photoshopped. I was like, oh Reddit, you kidders over there.
Yep.
But no, this is a real thing. Nvidia's going to be selling these PC revival kits for around €400, which, according to this article on PC Gamer, is about what the hardware adds up to anyway. So, yeah, it really got to question what kind of benefits you're actually seeing from this. It comes with a 1060 3GB OC Twin Frozer card, so that'd be from MSI. Corsair LE240 SSD, a Corsair CX450M power supply, download code for Gears 4, which is nice, and an Nvidia t-shirt. So, I don't know, do you think €400? Do you think it's really worth that? And then I guess you also have to consider if it's an upgrade kit and it's a gift, you have to be a little bit worried about compatibility too, I would think.
And I think that I saw a breakdown. I think if you click into the video cards link, I think video cards actually break it down, and they say so if we're to add shipping costs, I might actually end up to €400. And then you see someone, I think there was a few comments below that I read. They were saying that pretty much if you buy those components separately, that it's going to cost roughly the same amount of money. So you're paying either that exact amount of money and then just getting an Nvidia t-shirt for free. And it's like, if Nvidia wanted to do this, I think that they can market it differently in other countries. If this was in the US, where people are a lot more clued on to using like as many coupons as they can in different websites like Amazon and Newegg and all that kind of stuff, waiting for sales. But I think that this is take the price out of the equation. Take the price out of the equation. Just look at where Nvidia's brain must be at thinking what they're doing with this. Is this their future? Trying to expand out and going like, look, if you want a game on Nvidia, we're going to sell you a package that you can upgrade to. So eventually, will this include, RAM for your system, or a bigger SSD, or I don't know, it can include so many other things for a PC. So that's what interests me. Like, where could Nvidia go with these revival kits? Could they release different stages, like one with a 1070? It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It is interesting to see, and I'll be curious to see if they do launch anything like this in the United States as well. But like you said, I think this could do better in the European markets because they don't have as many
Yep.
options to go out and buy as
Yep.
we do here, and a lot of the times they end up overpaying for their components too. They just get really bent over on the prices. So if they can get something like this that's a centralized price where they can expect to pay €3.99
Yep.
wherever, then that might be a good deal for some people.
Yep.
All right, this Crytek thing. This is kind of a continuation of what we were just talking about last week, which I was like, wow, we were just saying you were
Yep.
saying specifically, and I agreed with you, is that Crytek should just focus on doing what they did with Crisis, and that's innovating and making something interesting. And then with
Yep.
it less than a week, they go ahead and close down a bunch of their big studios so they can do exactly that.
Maybe they're watching your show, man. Maybe they're
Maybe
watching.
we're shaping the tech and gaming scene as the weeks go
I
by.
hope so. It would be so.
Like, these guys have a good point. Let's go ahead and close down 5 studios and lay off
Yeah.
thousands of people.
And when I shared this story on Tweetown's Facebook, I'm like, and I bagged them. I'm like, Crytek, you did this days before Christmas. Days before
Oh
Christmas.
yeah,
Like it's horrible. I've never been fired from a job. Oh no, sorry, Pizza Hut when I was 16. That was like 17 years ago. It doesn't even count. And they, doing this so close to Christmas, and they already went through, these issues of not paying their staff. And so like when I wrote my article and when I shared it on Facebook, I'm like, I hope that you guys have looked after your staff. Like you've just laid off 5 entire studios. I don't even want to know how many people that is. Like it has to be hundreds of people in multiple countries. I'm hoping that you've, paid them up to date, which is the rumor from last week, and that's been happening for like 2 years now. I hope that they've paid those people and give them a nice severance package and said like, look, we're sorry that we've closed down. We can't help it. But if they've just bam, that's it. Just shut the door and close the doors like this close to Christmas. You'd think that working for a big developer like this, that you'd have job security, but 5 studios, how many problems is Crytek having right now? And they've got a lot of money from Amazon. Amazon gave them, I think it was a deal that was worth like $100 million just recently, within the last 12 months. And it's like, where did all that money go? You've had $100 million. You have to close 2/3 of your studios. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing because they're not really dropping a lot of games out, and it's been a while since they've really put out a great title. I think since the original Crisis, really.
I'm
I thought
hoping that
I
this
thought
isn't just
Crisis 2 was okay. Crisis 3 was just meh.
Crisis, and I don't understand how they did this, and I think we touched a bit on it when we did the last show where they need to concentrate on what they do best and just that. So if this is that, and this is a strategy, and this is them refocusing on that, then I'm excited for that. But they make so much money outside of PC gaming that they probably don't care. And the deal that I was talking about before, April, that they reportedly signed a deal with Amazon, a licensing deal worth between $50 and $70 million. So if they did do that, how much debt did they have that they had to pay off, and where the hell did the tens of millions of dollars go? 6 months later, 8 months later, you're firing like or 5 studios are just shutting the doors. It's just I don't know. It's really bad.
I just want to see Crytek make a fully open world Crisis game that I've
Yes.
been dreaming about since the original Crisis, which was not completely wide open world, but you can explore a lot of the island and stuff. But I want to see a full open world in the
Yeah.
Crisis universe. Just
Yeah.
just please do that. Go back to that.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that they're the shifts that we're seeing. Like you look at CryEngine and how good it's gotten over the last couple of years. It is an absolutely beautiful graphics engine, but it's
Yep.
watered down so much on PC.
And
If this
adopting
is
Vulkan now too. I mean, yeah, I want to see full Vulkan utilization and really
yeah.
taking advantage of the hardware.
And I think if they do that, and Vulkan is amazing. If they can really concentrate on Vulkan and concentrate on making the best PC graphics engine again, like they did with the original Crisis, and you can see them expanding into virtual reality with the Climb, which looks great. If they can put those two worlds together and provide you with like a next generation Crisis game, and then you put your VR headset on, and then the HUD that
Oh
that
yeah.
the soldier has is in VR,
Oh yeah.
and with
It'd be
next
it'd be the
generation
perfect
graphics,
game.
it would actually be a game changer, and Crytek could do some amazing things. But if they were doing that behind the scenes, they wouldn't have shut 5 studios down. You'd be expanding, right? Because all your investors would see this game and be like, holy shit, we need to put some money into this. Like, look at these graphics. That's amazing. Here's all the money you need. But to shut 5 studios down like this,
Yeah,
maybe it's a business strategy, and I'm not a super business person. But to me, when you have 7 studios and you shut 5, I wouldn't be confident with that.
yeah. This next one was Resident Evil 7. They had the demo go out this week. I don't know, when does the actual game go out? I haven't.
January 24.
Okay, so it's not that far. About a month from release. Dude Random, who's a really awesome channel on YouTube. I got a link to his video for the source of this down in the description. He's always doing GPU comparisons and frame rate overlays and performance and stuff, a lot like I do here on the channel. And he took a look at the Resident Evil 7 demo on the GTX 1080 at 1440p max settings and all that, and it didn't seem to be performing great. I mean, he saw regular dips down into the 40s and 50s, but you said you had a chance to play this game as well in a Titan X Pascal, and it was running great for you, and you also thought it looked fantastic.
Yeah, I've got a 7700K stock. I haven't even got that overclocked because again I don't want to go through that hassle. I just like to just put my stuff in and let it do it itself. 16 gig of RAM and your Titan X Pascal again stock. I don't have that overclocked, so it's just boosting by itself. I was running it at 1440p with everything cranked up with AA set to TAA, and I was getting consistent 100 FPS without a problem. With dip. But maybe to 80, 90 FPS, which was still smooth, but it was consistent over 100 FPS. But it looks amazing. If you guys haven't, if you haven't tried it out, it definitely looks amazing. But then you see in one of the comments on his video, Storm Jones, it's the second comment down. I get 209 frames a second maxed out at 1080p on a 390X.
Wow. And this is I saw HBO Plus in there. Was there any other Nvidia stuff that they had featured?
There was a few. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I did enable HBO Plus.
All right.
There were a few. There's actually a decent amount of visual options in there. I was actually surprised for a port or a multi-platform title to actually have that much stuff to play around with in terms of the graphics settings.
Are they sort of switching it up a bit and going into the first-person atmospheric type of horror game now?
Yes. And I think that they looked at a lot of what Hideo Kojima was trying to do with PT, and then Allison Road as well. It's a very different Resident Evil. I think a lot of people are going to be running in expecting traditional Resident Evil, but they need something to, it's the 7th game in the franchise, and I'm pretty sure there's a few in between there as well. I think that it's good. The atmosphere that they were able to create because of the graphics. It feels like you're walking through a slightly plastic kind of world because it doesn't look 100% real, but it's one of the most photorealistic games that I've seen. Like, look at those graphics. Like, sure, it's not like completely next gen, but
it's not. It's not blowing me away on the video here. I'm gonna have to see it in person in the game because it always looks different than watching it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I don't know. The performance doesn't. I can't say that it seems warranted by the visuals that on screen getting below 60 FPS.
Yeah, no, that's and he's using a GTX 1080 as well. That's really weird. I was getting double that, and it felt like a completely different game, running it at like over 100 frames a second, with that level of fidelity. Just like those little lighting effects. Like, see when he's moving, he's covering the entire shadow against the wall. There's not many games that do that these days, and I think a lot of this will most likely be pre-baked. And I'm hoping that, like, if the game looks this good, how big is the environment of the full game? How do they just make a game that doesn't look actually too bad? And it's not going to be like a huge game. I don't understand. Like, maybe this is just a teaser and they're just trying to really, kind of like rip people off by showing them something that's a small portion of the game. But then how big can this house be? Resident Evil was a smallish kind of house. Is this the only environment you're going to be running around? Is this why the graphics are like this? It's weird.
And yes, Foreign Gaming Tech asked in the chat what CPU he's using. He's using the 6700K in this, so Skylake i7, and we could see the CPU usage is really, it seems to be topping out at about 35 to 40% area, and most of the time below 20% usage. across all the threads, so it's not getting CPU bottlenecked at all by a 6700K. The GPU also being fully utilized. It's pinned at 100%, 99 most of the pretty much all the time actually. So and it's using on the VRAM side. We could see in this area in the hallway I'm at right now is getting 5992, so just under 6 GB of video memory being used. And the GPU does not appear to be overclocked. It's only running 1873 megahertz on the GTX 1080. But yeah, it's getting some dips down into the mid 40s, but it doesn't seem like it's necessarily a hardware bottleneck anywhere, and it doesn't seem to be driver related as it's fully utilizing the GPU. Just might be a really taxing game and maybe taxing engine.
I mean, I'm interested to see what the full game runs like. That's what I'm interested to see, and it has 144 hertz monitor support as well, which is awesome. It actually has support for it, and ultra wides as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the one thing is before we switch on to the next topic is that I'm not too pleased with them switching into the first person. I like the old Resident Evils. I've been waiting for them to do a good one for a while. The last one I enjoyed was Resi 5, which I know a lot of fans of the series didn't like, but I enjoyed that. I like the co-op in it, but I haven't liked the one since then. I haven't been inclined to go back and play any of the remasters they've been putting out. Like, I don't know how many times they've remastered Resident Evil 4, but it's a lot. I haven't had any interest in playing those, so I think
even a remaster, like I'm not a remaster fan, but a next gen remaster of the original Resident Evil with a slight tweak to the gameplay and stuff, that could have been really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do a proper third person game like they were doing in the past, just kind of updated a bit, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, this might be good. I've never been a fan of the horror games like in first person and these types of games like this, where it's like slow paced walking around with a lot of jump scares.
Yeah. Yeah.
But who knows? It might change me. I guess the best game I played really since those old Resident Evils that reminded me of it was Dead Space. I loved the first two Dead Space games.
Yes. Me too.
Those were a lot like the original Resident Evils. When they started, not that the first one, but when they started introducing gunplay in third person, like Resident Evil 4 back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were great.
I know. I loved Dead Space. Loved Dead Space. And Dead Space to me was also. I'm a massive System Shock fan. System Shock 2 was one of my favorite games of all time, and that kind of blended like Resident Evil and System Shock into the same world in some ways. But obviously, it was a very different game. But that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to the System Shock remaster. I think they still just have the demo at this point, which was not running great when I tested it out. Yeah. So I'm waiting for the final release on that.
Yeah.
Switching back now to AMD, it looks like, well, them and Nvidia also. It's not just AMD, but we got an AMD up here right now. They went up 280% in the stock market this year. Absolutely huge, tremendous. They're just absolutely taking over the stock market. Tremendous. Donald Trump may or may not have something. Donald Trump may or may not have something to do with this. Cannot confirm nor deny.
I think it's all in relation to him. Maybe Trump has changed over all of his Trump hotels or Trump Tower to AMD systems, and that's why. Maybe he's a big Team Red player.
It's a very real possibility. Everything is better red.
That's it.
I don't know. How much do you think they're do you think it's more so the tech or the marketing or a combination of the two here this year?
I think it's a big combination. I think that they've had a great year of especially you can see that the stock jumps so much pretty much in April, late April, May. So that's when all the rumors of Polaris are coming out, where they kind of were concentrating on the sub $300 market. I think that's a big thing to see there. That's a big jump. And then it's just consistent. Then you can see like July to August is when they would have released their financial reports and stuff like that. That's jumped again. Then all the Vega rumors you can see pretty much in November. You can see like Vega and especially Ryzen. You can see like middle of November it's just like we'll sit at $6 and then just like bam, straight up to $10. So it's not as obviously Nvidia trades a lot higher. I think they're over $100 a share now. But they're different companies. Nvidia have been completely dominating so many industries this year, supercomputers and all that kind of stuff. They've had high-end GeForce cards that have just dominated the market. But so many people can't afford that. They can't afford a $700 graphics card. AMD is concentrating on a completely different market, and those markets are massive overseas. People think that it's just America, but there's markets that AMD are pushing into, especially the internet cafe market. AMD are pushing into that in a big way with Polaris, and they're pushing into it in a big way because of VR as well.
Yeah, I wish I can go back to the beginning of the year and put some money down AMD, the stock market. I really
Yeah.
don't know why. It just didn't occur to me. But earlier on this year, doing TGW, we talked about the stock market several times and kind of speculating on what might come this year because we knew that AMD had a lot of big stuff coming.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I didn't think to do it, but seeing this now, I wish I could go back because if you would have invested, they're down at what $2 a share now, but over $10. That's you could have 5 times. You get five double ups.
It's a big change. I'm the same. I wish that I had put money in. And for keen-eyed people, that is the Vega Cube.
Yeah, pretty much because it's going to. I have a feeling next year we might see it double from here.
Yes.
I doubt we'll see it go up 5 times again, but we might see it as much as double.
I think double or triple that. I have no reservations there. I think that once I think even if anything, when Intel releases their Kaby Lake on January 5, I think you're going to see a bump in AMD stock because it's going to be the business world aren't going to take any of the leaks seriously right now. They're not going to take any of the pre-release reviews seriously. It's going to be day one reviews, and as soon as it comes out and there's a lot of people addressing the temperature, you'll probably see a bump in AMD stock. And then obviously at CES, AMD is probably going to have a very big show for Ryzen and Vega. So I'm sure that we'll see a jump then. And then it's going to be consistent because if you follow the pattern exactly, if you look at that financial chart now, AMD are going to follow nearly that exact pattern again this year because they're going to have another event most likely in Macau before Computex where they're going to fully unveil whatever series comes out of Vega. Zen launches before then. Summit Ridge towards the end of the year. They've got a semi-custom design in Xbox Scorpio. They'll be able to ride that as well in terms of marketing. I think it's good. AMD have been placing their bets for a long time. Ryzen was a bet from 5 years ago, and now you look how much it's paying off. Especially in the stock market, that's a huge jump. For a company that 18 months ago they're like, nope, everyone thought that they were dead because they couldn't compete
bankrupt
with Nvidia.
Like we thought they were going to close their doors any minute.
Yep.
It's like Zen's being delayed further, Vega's being delayed further.
Yep.
They're coming out with these mid-range cards. As a last-ditch effort. If that doesn't work, they're pretty much done. And now here they are swinging still.
Yep.
They've had a lot of ups and downs throughout this year, but they've still continued on a steady rise.
Yep.
And I think by this time next year, my prediction would be somewhere maybe around $24 a share. Where would you put them?
Yeah, no, I'd be about the same, between $20 and $30. I think if Zen doesn't need to be a home run. Zen just needs to be very good, and that will double the stock market, double their stock price just there. And if Vega's good, that's going to change things. And then it depends on what Nvidia's retaliation is. If Nvidia doesn't have HBM2, that's going to help their stock price a fair bit, just because because the competition that primarily dominates the enthusiast market doesn't have high bandwidth memory 2. And there's a lot of other things that I'm under NDA about. If I could just say those things, you'd be like, yep, it's going to kick ass. But as soon as AMD unveil Vega, people will start to understand the bigger picture. And then that stock price, it should just continue to go up. I don't see a reason for it to go down. The only reason that's going to come down from $10 now, if AMD stumble hard on launching Ryzen.
There's like a recall or something catastrophic like that, basically.
If there's a recall, then that would be the end of AMD. That would just be the end. But I'm confident, and I would rather have AMD delay Ryzen, delay Vega if it means we're going to get more solid products, and it looks like we are. And hopefully, if you see that financial chart keep going up, that means AMD can go to investors. They can start asking for more money. They can increase their R&D budget. And then when they do that, then that means they can start competing against Nvidia in a far bigger way. And that excites me as well. That excites me is if they can get external money. But then the other thing we have to think about is AMD have done this and they've split themselves off from RTG as well. So could RTG, imagine in a world where RTG sells itself to someone else, it's no longer with AMD. Is AMD a strong brand if it doesn't have RTG along with it? Or are they one and the same in terms of inside the company? Or can they just sell it off and still have that stock market go up. Stock price go up. I keep saying market.
My question is, when are they going to make ATI great again?
Yes.
That's what
Bring
I
the
was.
ATI back.
Yeah, why this Radeon ATI, man? ATI
Yeah.
all the way.
Yep. I'm exactly the same. Man, the feels that I had when the Radeon 9700 Pro came out, oh, man, that thing was amazing. ATI, I would love to see them. I was hoping that they were going to do it with Vega, and they still could. They still could. I would love to see the return of the ATI brand. I know that they won't because I want AMD everywhere, but it'd be so cool to see ATI in a graphics card again.
Yeah, even if they just do like a vintage special edition, like reference card or something like that with ATI
Yes.
branding would be great.
Yes, that's what we need.
I'd be all over that. And by the way, if you still want to make AMD great again, their shirts links are in the description. You guys can still pick these up. I need to do a shirt for 2016. I don't know what I'm going to do yet though. Maybe make ATI great again. There we go.
Yeah, you could maybe have like a comb over, like over the top of the AMD.
There you go. There you go. That could work. So this next one is an article you showed me. I didn't see this until you showed it to me the other day, which is oddly enough not too long after it went up. Is the single slot GTX 1070 from Galax? That thing is looking slick, man. I would love to throw two of these in SLI and see what they could do.
Yeah. I want those in SLI. I don't care how hot they are, how loud they are. Single slot 1070, that is amazing. That is awesome.
I would like to see that SLI maybe in a micro ATX rig.
Yes, yeah. That would be awesome. Like because you'd be able to get it so thin, like it'd be really cool. And the amount of power you'd have from SLI 1070s would be great.
Oh yeah, it'd be beast. I mean, they still got the single 8-pin connector. They shortened the PCB a little bit, and they're still using the blower style cooler with the full copper heatsink.
Yep.
And it just looks cool on top of all that. It just looks like it's just all metal all the way around. It's sexy. I don't know what the temps are going to be.
Oh yeah.
I still want one though.
And it's interesting that the one thing that I thought was interesting that they went with single DisplayPort, single HDMI, single DVI. I would have preferred for them to have ditched the DVI, and there's enough space there to have triple DisplayPort and HDMI.
I was thinking either that or either triple DisplayPort or two DisplayPort and one HDMI.
Yeah. Just something like, who the hell is going to buy that card and have a DVI monitor? I don't understand.
Yeah, I wouldn't use DVI anymore. I used DVI back when I had my Asus VG248QE because DisplayPort cables were still like $40 a piece at that time.
Yep.
But then once I converted that over to G-Sync, I had to get DisplayPort anyway.
Yep.
So yeah, DVI has not been useful to me for a while, but it's still a good connector. It's still able to do the high refresh rate and all that.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with it, but it's just not really modern anymore.
No, and it takes up too much space as well.
Yeah.
On the display connectivity, it takes up too much space. Like in that space, they could have easily have like just moved over the HDMI connector a little bit more, and had two more display ports. Because then you can right now you can't buy that card and do triple screen.
No. And also, I think it's worth pointing out is that lone mustard cable coming from the fan over to the power connector. That's kind of distracting. I wouldn't be too happy having that dangling in my system.
No, and I'd hope that that's not going to be in the retail design.
I hope so.
Because that would just be awful, and I can't see them doing that. And if they do that, I don't see them launching this into any market apart from like China or something like that. That wouldn't fly with American consumers at all.
No. If you're buying something like that, you're buying it, either because you have a very small, case that you want to fit it into, or because of the cool factor of having the single slot card. And if it's the cool factor, then you can't have no mustard cable hanging out the side of your graphics card. That's no bueno.
No,
we can't have that, Galax. You just gotta stop it. Just cut it out right now.
That's it. I like it. Just cut it out. Just cut it out. Like it's like a fly getting next to you. Just shoot. Go away. Just
cut the shit, Galax. You're drunk. Go home.
Yeah. Whenever they're smoking, they need to share it around because that's some crazy good stuff.
Well, I bet G.Skill was smoking something when they came up with their RGB RAM.
Oh man.
I mean, okay, I give RGB a lot of shit, but I see a lot of uses for it because sometimes I'll I'll be doing like a color coordinated build or something like that, and I'll have like a part like laying around, and I'm just like, man, if this thing was just RGB, it actually would be a lot easier to color match the system. So I can see its value, but I still prefer to have just whatever color I'm going for, have it actually be part of the product, better than instead of lighting.
And
But yeah,
it does look cool. Like I'm not gonna, and I'm not a fan of like RGB and everything, but it does look cool. But it's like, how much would that be? Like
yeah.
that has to be much more expensive. But it does look amazing. It does look amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that most of these RGB products end up being way overpriced. I've seen many keyboards that are like $60 or $70 for the base model, which maybe you'll
Yep,
just have red LEDs, and then they throw RGB on there, and it's $110, $120 keyboard.
yep,
And
yep.
I know from talking to companies that were making keyboards, and saying, "Well, are you guys going to do RGB?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we could do that. It would only increase the price by about $10 for manufacturing." I was like, "All right, then pass that on to the consumer.
Yep.
You don't
Yep.
need to go and hike it up $40 just because you included
No,
lights. It's all the marketing."
that's it. Yep. Yep. And I think that they think that they can do that. And it's like, no, 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 no. If RGB is adding cost, then you should be making that very aware to consumers. Like say, okay, this RGB kit is going to be $10 more. Like say it's $249 for the whatever kit, $250 or $269 for RGB. If you made it very aware that people are having to pay just a little bit extra, people are okay with that. When you probably have to pay $40 or $50 on top for some lights, it's like when I'm in the middle of Overwatch, I'm not like, oh, yep, look, my RAM's red right now. Hold on, back to the game. Oh, it's blue. I don't care about that. Like it looks cool in promotional videos. It looks cool in like in themed builds. I'm down for that. But when it starts to cost like $50, $60 extra, it's ridiculous. And as Neo Voodoo Tech just said, RGB flash drives and RGB SSDs are next. You're probably not wrong.
You're probably
I
not
think
wrong.
that
RGB SSDs are the final frontier.
yep.
We've
I think
already
that when
got
that happens,
EVGA's, LED lit Superflow power supplies. When are those LEDs turn into RGB? Probably in 2017.
oh man, if I don't know, if I was Corsair or G.Skill or whoever, I would be getting an exhibit in for some troll marketing, and I'd put RGBs inside my RGBs, and then put that on something, and then you could take like in Australia we have a saying, take the piss out of it. And you could just really nail like we put RGBs inside of the RGBs, and we've got in like an SSD something ridiculous. And if you laughed at it and said, and this isn't going to cost you any extra, then I'm down. If they were able to like imagine a manufacturer coming out and go like, we've got RGBs, this looks sick, and everyone's like, sigh, this is going to be like 30% more expensive because it's lights. But if they start making RGB a free or very cheap addition to the product, that's okay as well.
RGB racing seats.
Oh man! Imagine
CES,
having to have a
CES
USB cable.
2017. CES
Yep.
2017.
If I see an RGB racing seat, I'm gonna stop being at. I'm gonna stop going at CS. I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna call you up. I need your address. I'm gonna come to your house. Whatever alcohol you like, it's on me. If I see an RGB racing seat for a PC, oh man, oh man. I don't think that would be that far away because you gotta have like a little lithium ion battery in the chair. You know,
Mm-hmm.
charge up your chair with a USB charger,
Or
and then have
have it
like
plug in heated seats too. Throw in a heated
yep,
seat.
yep. You can get
It plug into easy.
vibration and like
Yeah.
you can get suspension and stuff. It'll happen. It'll
Eventually,
happen.
we'll just be sitting in cars at our desk.
Yes, and I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, that'd be all
Mm,
right. Yeah.
that'd be all
I
right.
would I would like the seats for my car actually at my desk if I can get like power seats in here and all that stuff and heated.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's actually that might be more useful
Maybe
than
maybe
inside the
Intel needs
car.
to look at that, and maybe they need to get the air conditioning ducts to face towards their new 7700K, and maybe they'll keep it.
Zing.
Had,
Okay.
had,
That was our last topic though, so we're gonna do a quick Q&A and everything before we do head on out of here. So if you guys got any questions you want to fire us in the chat, go ahead. I'll as a sort of to bridge the gap between till we get questions. And there was a question that was in the chat before the show started, before you got here, that I found very interesting, and that
mhm.
was: do you put ketchup on the fries or on the side and dip?
Oh, it depends on where you are. Normally on the side.
Normally on the side. That was my assessment as well. Is you got to put the ketchup on the side because if you put it on top, you're not going to be able to control the fry to ketchup ratio properly.
That's
You're
it. You've got to
you're
think of that stuff.
you're going to get some fries on the bottom that are going to get no love from the ketchup gods, and you're just going to end up with some dry ass fries, and no one wants dry fries. You got to have good ketchup distribution on all the fries, and also the ketchup kind of gets hot too. I don't like hot ketchup.
No, no,
Yeah, no one likes
I
hot
do not.
ketchup. Hitting on the hard hitting questions.
Those questions matter, man. That's an important question.
That's exactly was my thought as well. I thought it was very important. Do you do ketchup? I know being from Oz, is that a common thing? Ketchup on the fries, or do you guys do anything weird
Yeah,
like
yeah,
mayo or?
no, it's ketchup, but we call it tomato sauce. So it's very hard to switch over especially because I travel to the States so often, and I'm like, can I have some tomato? And I'm like, ketchup, ketchup, ketchup.
Yeah, brown. Yeah, someone said brown sauce on chips. I would do. I've heard of brown sauce from the UK. I've not tried it. There was a
Brown
movie.
sauce, oh, barbecue sauce.
No, not barbecue sauce. It's called brown sauce. I don't know what
Brown
it is.
sauce.
I think it's like
What?
a. I think it's like made with like Worcester sauce or something.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, HP. Okay.
Yes, HP brown sauce. There was a
Oh,
movie with
geez, is it even an Australian company that does it? Oh,
there was a movie with Colin Farrell where he put brown sauce in his tea. And when I saw it, as I was like maybe 17 or 18, I was ignorant to what brown sauce was, and the internet wasn't quite what it is today. And I thought it was chocolate sauce. I thought it was just like an Irish way of saying chocolate sauce, but no, it's not chocolate sauce.
okay, wow.
Uh,
And see,
game
what I find funny is that if you go to Google and you type in brown sauce, the second link for me is brownsauce.com.au. And then that company is from Adelaide, and that's the little town that I'm from.
oh,
What are the odds of that?
I don't. That's pretty convenient.
That's actually pretty amazing. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was. Didn't even know they were in Adelaide.
nice.
Oh, there you go.
First question came from Nelly. He wanted to know if we'll see an AIO cooler anytime soon for the Titan XP. I know that's something that I'd be curious to see because I'm going to be doing a build pretty soon with Tyler from over at Mayflower Electronics. He was wanting to do a build with either Titan XP, but now he's leaning towards waiting for 1080 Ti since there's no aftermarket cards on Titan X Pascal, and EVGA hasn't really pushed out their hybrid cards yet too much, and you haven't been able to buy the cooler separately either. Which I would have liked to have seen if you can buy the hybrid cooler and throw it on there yourself. But yeah, I don't know about the all-in-one coolers. I haven't seen any information from EVGA, and I was just looking into this recently, like I said with Tyler, so I haven't seen anything yet.
I think that's something that I wish that Nvidia did. I wish that they could do that and
Yeah.
sell like an all-in-one cooler that you could upgrade to, especially on a Titan X because they do get pretty hot.
Oh yeah.
Nearly 90 degrees Celsius under load.
Yeah, not everyone wants a reference cooler too. I mean, the focus of his build was to do a silent build, so
No,
going with a blower style cooler is not really going to work with that.
no.
Someone said, should I upgrade my GTX 960 now or wait for the RX 490?
Oh, that's hard.
I would
would
say wait.
two
I would wait.
weeks. Wait for CES. I have I don't know. That's one thing I don't know. What AMD are exactly unveiling at CES, but they'd have to be unveiling something graphics card related. And Nvidia could do a few things. They could release
Price
a 1060 Ti as well, or price drop the 1060. I price drop the 1070 as well.
Yeah,
So
I had predicted we might see a price drop along with the 1080 Ti coming out.
yes,
They've done that in the
yep,
past where the Ti will come out and then all of the cards below it will get like $100 price drop
yep,
off in some
yep,
situations.
yep.
Yeah, so I would wait at least until the end of January when we see what happens at CES.
Yep.
What's the best high-end Z170 Mobo in your opinion? Best high-end? I don't know. I feel like you have to strike a good balance when it comes to price to performance on the motherboards. For like a Z170, I wouldn't really want to spend more than like $250.
Yep.
I think that'd be about the ceiling for me. I've liked the Asus boards. Some of the EVGA boards, while they do have some design shortcomings, they have been incredibly stable. Along with ASRock boards, also very stable boards. But I haven't tested too many. Do you have much experience testing a lot of the high-end boards?
I use a Gigabyte Z170X Design Air. Really nice. You can probably see it in. I know, it's just off frame. It's a nice board, but I think that at the end of the day, if you're buying like a mid to high end board, and like you said, 250 is 250. I'm the same. 200, 250 is about what I would recommend spending on a board like that. Because you don't need all the crazy extras like having, if you're doing 2 or 3 or 4-way graphics cards, then you're going to be going to X99. But I think $200 is, yeah, no problems at all.
Jesus wanted to know how much for the AM4 motherboards. I'm expecting them to see them costing more than what we're seeing on the AM3 Plus stuff now. Most of the AM3 Plus boards you're seeing very, very budget oriented, even on the gamer stuff. But now that they are opening up to having, more compatibility with all of the different connections, all that stuff like that, you're probably going to see some higher priced boards coming out from them, being that they'll
Yep.
be able to include a lot of the same features we've been seeing on the Intel boards.
Yep. And I think that's
So
something that we were talking about last week, that AMD need to nail that. Those boards need to be slightly cheaper than Z170 and Z2 or Z100, Z200 series. Um, I think if they can provide performance boards for, say, between 175 and 250, that's gonna be good. And I think there was a comment before, like way before, someone was saying, "Oh, but it's only dual channel and not quad channel." But hey, it's, a lot of people don't need that memory bandwidth as well, so that will reduce the cost of the board. Only having dual channel versus quad channel as well.
yeah, that certainly help. No, foreign. I'm not going to be going to CES. No plans to attend this year.
I will
But
be.
yeah, he's Anthony's going to be going. I just did finish my registration for PAX East. Are you going to PAX East this year?
When
It's
is
coming up.
that?
It's in early March, March 10th to 12th.
March? No, because my birthday is March 12th, so I'll be here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be going to PAX East. That's going to be my first PAX. First PAX East, I should say. I went to PAX West last year, so I'm going to do PAX East this year. That'll be fun, but no CES. I just didn't put.
CS
I didn't.
is
It's something you got to kind of jump on early and start setting up all your meetings well ahead of time, and your travel arrangements and everything. And it's a very costly trip if you don't have someone to pay for all of it for you.
and it's a headache as well. Everyone's
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Oh, CS!" Like all my friends, "Oh, CS! It must be awesome to go and have a holiday in Vegas." Like, no, it's not a
it
holiday.
is stressful.
It
Oh my
is.
god, when I did PAX West, it was so much work. Like you're talking
Yeah.
about getting up early to get to the venue and all that. You've got to have all your meetings organized and stuff ahead of time and have your whole day planned out, all your questions and everything.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it by yourself like I was, you got to go. You got to hit the floor, do all of your interviews, be everywhere on time, and
So
then
is there
when you're
anyone in
done,
this chat that thinks that these events are awesome? Yes, they are. They
yeah,
are
they are
100%
awesome,
awesome.
but they're
But
also a
the
lot of work.
work that you have to put into it is, like, people think, oh, you're just putting up a video or two a day, or an article or two a day or whatever. It's like, but like you said, you're getting up early. Like CES to me, well, I do CES. I will be doing GDC, GTC, Computex, PAX Australia. Usually 2 events for AMD and 2 events for Nvidia per year. And the more and more you do, it's just, CS is horrible. Like, you're up at usually 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, getting ready. I don't even have breakfast most of the time because I don't even have the time. I just get some muesli bars or something, and then you're out straight into a cab or an Uber, straight to meetings, and then you're going to get from room to room, or like booth to booth on the show floor, and it's just back to back. Get back to your apartment or to your
To
hotel
write
room,
your articles or edit
everything
your
down,
video and all that.
recharge everything, put everything online, have another shower, jump out to the parties, and everyone's like, "But you don't have to party; you can just have an early night." But that's where all the business is done. That's where you're talking and making those relationships, is at the parties. And then you're getting home at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 hours sleep, get up and do it again. Oh, that's,
But it's
it's
still
only two
but it's
weeks
still a
away.
good it's still a great time though. We can't lie.
It's an amazing time.
It's
I
an
would
amazing
trade it for
time.
the
Yeah.
world. I would not trade it for the world. It's amazing. Oh, Neo Voodoo Tech. I'm starting in a tech event management business. I will coordinate your times meetings and arrange everything ahead of time. Wow. Yeah, you need to message me, man. I need those services so badly.
Yeah, that kind of stuff can be very stressful at the events, especially if things don't go your way, which tends to happen. Those things are like, oh yeah, by the way, you need to line up with everyone over here, like these hundreds of people. Like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. I have a pass. You're like, yeah, fuck your pass.
And the CS is CS, man. Oh my God. You'll walk out of the hotel in the morning and there'll be like a line of 100 people to catch a taxi. So then you're
Yep.
45 minutes, an hour waiting in line. And then the meeting that you're supposed to be at is done. So then you've either got to cut your losses with that meeting and then keep the next meeting happy, or you've got to go to that original meeting and then piss off the next person. And then you're going to get late to the third meeting. And then it's just this domino effect. So you end up having to go, okay, I've got like 8 meetings for the day. I'll cut meeting 3 off, cut meeting 5 off, and I'll have some time to kind of, like, I don't know, if I have to scratch myself or sneeze, I get some time then. It's just,
Yeah,
oh,
it's like taking eight. You got to take like 5 to 6 stressful meetings that you might do over the course of a month, and you're cramming them all into one day.
yep,
It's just one on top of the next, and you're supposed to be on the ball for all of them.
yep.
It's a lot. It's a lot to keep track of.
It is. It really.
Uh, let's see. Any other questions? Do you think the single slot GTX 1070 will be able to use custom water cooler?
No.
Probably not. No.
I think that card would be a very specific one-off.
Yeah.
And
It's
if
a custom PCB and all that too.
Yep. Yep.
So you'd have to get someone to make the custom water block for that very specific variant.
Yep. It would be cool to see though. That'd be extremely cool to see single slot with water cooling.
Yeah. Clayton Alexander said the GTX 1070 is on Amazon right now, $349 and $331.
It's really good.
That's an insanely good price. That's what I was expecting to pay for 970s a while back, like when they were starting to get cheap before we started to see 1070, 1080 talk being real. When they were starting to get kind of at the lower end of the price, I'm guessing that's a holiday deal. It's pretty good. Any other questions before we get out of here? I didn't see any others.
There was someone who said, I saw it before, Vega 10, what was the teraflop amount? 12.5 versus Titan X at 11 versus 1080, which is 10.
Okay.
I don't think that's in an article somewhere.
Foreign asked if I'm upgrading both of my rigs to Kaby Lake. No, I'm on the 6800K now. If I upgrade that to anything, it's going to be the high-end Zen part, but I'm going to have to see how that stacks up against my 6800K for my workload and see what kind of overclock I can get out of the chip I have, and if it can render 4K and process 4K footage faster than my 6800K, then I'll be doing a Ryzen build for my personal build. If not, then I'll reserve that probably for a testing system, which I'll probably be pitting against the 7700K in benchmarks for time to come over the next months and stuff. I'd like to, because I'd like to kind of, go from like, I was doing like the 1060s versus the 480s. I'd like to include CPU benchmarking that also on the new titles and see, which ones are being held back more on new games with i7 versus the SR7 Zen chip. I think that'd be fun to do.
Well, because there's like not much difference between the higher end CPUs, and even some lower stuff. You can use lower end CPUs for 1080p and 1440p, especially if you're only going for 60 frames a second. You don't need crazy high end 5 gigahertz 7700K chips. You can get by with Core i3 or Core i5 if it's just a pure gaming machine. You're not doing anything on the CPU.
Yeah, certainly. All right, I think that's going to be about it, though, for today's show. It's getting pretty late, 7 o'clock here, so usually this is a little past. Usually we get but we got a little late today, so hopefully
I apologize for that.
That's okay. You said you were a little sick last night, and it's only your second week, so next week, though, the time to start, so hopefully you should be back next week.
I will be here on time. Oh, what day? It'll be 29. Yep. I'm all good next Thursday. I have nothing on next Thursday.
The 28th.
It's
the 29th for you.
Yeah, 29th for me. Yeah.
That's right.
I was going to say, wait, hold on. Yeah, Australia, man. That's what it is.
So Anthony will be back next week, and we can expect to see him probably for the foreseeable future as the new co-host on the show, which will be awesome. And I'm also hoping to have I had already talked to Mr. Stephen Burke over at Gamers Nexus last week, and probably sometime early 2017. I'm not sure of the exact date yet. We'll be doing a 3-man show with Anthony and Steve, and who knows? Maybe I'll even try to track down Wendell, and we can have a 4-way.
Oh, 4-way. Oh yeah, sounds good, man.
You're in Wendell's beard versus Steve's hair.
Yes, there you go. We'll have a hair off.
There you go. I'll just sit here with my crummy goatee, and just cry about not being manly enough to have an awesome beard or long hair.
Yes.
Sad times.
One more note: if anyone wants the chair that I mentioned last week, Secret Lab Titan, my review is live. If you're in the US and you want to win that chair, all you have to do is go to Tweaktown's Facebook page, like us, like Secret Labs, and tell me why you want to win it, and you're in the draw.
There you go, guys. Hit them up. I'm sure you got a post on the Tweaktown site also.
No. All you have to do is just go to our Facebook, and then search for the Secret Lab post. and then just comment. I like our page, like Secret Lab. Just a simple comment, like the reason why you want the chair, maybe, or what game you like as well. And that's it. I made it super simple. Just one comment. You don't need to go to our website and do anything. It's purely just Facebook, just making it as easy and convenient as possible.
There you go, guys. Check them out. And also, links are going to be down to Tweaktown below if you want to check out. Anthony's always posting good news and stuff over there. We had a lot of their stories today on the show. And once again, if you want to get an AMD Great Again shirt, links for that are in description. And yeah. And also, by the way, do you support Stevenism?
Stevenism? What is Stevenism?
Stevenism is the religion of Steve Burke.
Okay, no, yes, I do then. Yes, I didn't know that existed.
Do you accept Steve as your Lord and Savior?
I do. He is, yes. Every time I see him and his hair, he's like, it's a god. He is a god. I feel like he should be on a horse with I don't know, a big rifle in his hands or something like that. It's just.
And someone standing off screen with like a big oversized fan to keep his hair always constantly flowing even when there's not enough wind. Yeah.
And there's someone on the other side with like some conditioner in case something gets into his hair and they need to quickly make it all smooth again.
Oh no, we discussed this. He actually styles it with thermal paste.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
That's how he gets the sheen.
That. Yes. Maybe he's using that cool named thermal paste from that CPU.
That must be it. That's how he gets his lustrous shine, and keeps the volume also. It's a tough balancing act.
Like, dude, if you were born 30 years ago, you would have been amazing in a rock band. Amazing.
He'd be amazing now in a rock band.
Oh, he would. Yeah. I think he needs to do it. He needs to do it.
When I see Steve Burke in public, I'm just gonna start vlogging and just come up behind him and start touching his hair and petting him.
I'm sure he's used to it from since everyone jumps onto it.
He's got to. Yeah, but Stevenism was started by Paul and Kyle on one of their recent Awesome Sauce shows. They started that. Okay, so all right, guys. Well, we're gonna get out of here. Once again, check out Tweaktown below. Shirts and all that good stuff. Links and timestamps will be up soon. Leave us a like if you enjoyed the show. Always appreciate that, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Have a good night.